He's got to be the last person you want your team when you're chasing points.
A little dodgy call where they should have gone the video ref there, ended up costing the game.
If that was a forward pass, I'll bungee jump with no rope.
You basically can only beat who you have in front of you, so yeah, I think that's awesome.
And they're doing that, so good luck to them.
Crowd is ready, players are ready, referee says go.
Welcome to the most must-see NRL podcast. Welcome to the NRL Point of Difference. Preety, what are your highs for this week?
Must see or must hear?
Huh? Must see. Oh, well, I guess it's both.
You see...
Well, you see the photo and then you hear our voices.
You see us in your ear.
Yeah, we're inside your ear every week, every Tuesday.
God, I feel sorry for you guys out there.
Well, how was your rugby league weekend? I don't give a shit about your normal weekend. I just want to hear your thoughts about rugby league.
Well, my weekend is the rugby league weekend. What else is there to do on the weekend?
That's true with COVID lockdown.
Yeah, I feel like this weekend we were given a clearer indication, and now we know who the top 8 is. We revealed some threats, some pretenders. We alluded to the Eels last week being the pretenders. Feel like that may have been solidified somewhat, and I think I just have a better grasp on who's going to win and who's not going to win this season. There were some big results. My highlight was the South Sydney Rabbitohs side, 40-point victors, 56-16 against the Manly. That was just an absolute demolishing of the Sea Eagles. Haven't seen anything like it before. Rabbitohs' biggest winning margin at halftime, 38 points. And they were just too good for them.
But don't you like the fact that there can potentially be an outside team that can make the 8? And that's always what the fun of that final round is. Yeah. So now that the 8's solidified, don't you find that annoying? That what's the point of watching the next couple of weeks of rugby league if basically there's only one top 4 position that's up for grabs and everything else is solidified? So, you know, in my opinion, that, to be honest, is not a highlight. So we've got 5 weeks of basically nothing, and all it is is just... That. Well, it's all trials just for the finals.
I'll watch Bulldogs and Brisbane play.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I do enjoy my rugby league.
Every game's got an underlying meaning, and teams like the Dragons, the Warriors... They're still mathematically, there's still a chance.
Yeah, Tigers, I guess, and Manly even. Manly actually still got a chance because I think they've got quite an easy run. They can still potentially win 4 of their next 5.
But they're 4 against his shot now.
Yeah, but I think they need to rely on Cronulla, obviously, to lose. I think South. So Cronulla's basically the only team that can drop out, and they've got a reasonably...
They do have a tough run.
No, they can win 2 out of their 5. They can easily win.
I know they play Newcastle. They've got the Roosters.
Yeah, they've got Canberra as well. So
they could lose all 3 of them.
Yeah. Well,
your highlight.
My highlight. I think you can't go past the chase down of the week. Basically, let me set the scene for you. Titans were back in the game. Well, some weren't back in the game, so they were down by 18 to 20 points, I think, at this point.
I don't know, you're setting the scene.
And they were... Titans had somewhat of a momentum shift, and there was a quick restart by John Fogarty, and he had the ball, ran from the 20-metre restart. He was in clear space, basically had no one in front of him. But from nowhere, Josh Papali had managed to chase him down and give him the ankle tap of his life, and basically caused Fogarty to drop the ball and save his team from being in trouble. And I think his speed got up to about 32 kilometres per hour for that run. So Papali, I think, has to come down for the play of the round.
Gee, I feel like I was there. I feel like I've seen it before.
I should have got the score right. But yeah, I mean, I think it was only 18 points at that time.
That's quite remarkable for a front rower in a late stage of the game to pull off that. Is just it inspires your whole team. If your front rower can do that, then your outside backs better lift your game.
But let's go to the other side of the spectrum. So we've got the lows of the round, and for me personally, that Cowboys and Newcastle game was absolutely vomit-worthy. I have never seen such a shit-splattered game, like a rugby league like that before.
That's what you really think.
It was basically just a drizzling shit. So there was so much drop ball.
I produce something better at 9 o'clock each morning after my coffee.
That was awful, honestly. There was so much drop ball, and Newcastle had so many opportunities to put the game away and just couldn't do it. I think the game was basically highlighted by the fact that Cohen Hess, with 2 seconds to go, went for a quick tap when the obvious decision was to go for goal. And instead he ran into Mitchell Pearce, who made the tackle and was offside, and was obviously a professional foul, and he got sent off. Sin bin, sorry.
Oh, yeah, half-time.
Yeah, so that would just proves how stupid the players were in that game. And Cowboys had the opportunity definitely to crawl back, and they just had nothing. Michael Morgan went missing, and he's going up and down every week on our show. We're just constantly bagging him and then praising him and bagging him again. I'm going to bag him this week because he was absolutely awful.
Well, he listens every week, so he'll bounce back next week. We said last week that, I said to Newcastle, I don't see them as any threat to the premiership. I don't think they're up to it, and that game just reaffirmed my stance on that. They were just deplorable in attack. They're coming up against the second worst defensive outfit in the Cowboys, and they laid 2 tries on them. And at one stage, they only had 12 men.
Well, not Nathan Green. Blake Green did his ACL as well on the field.
They've got Kurt Mann, who was their starting 5'8" this other year, who played 5'8". Like, they don't lose a great deal. I know it's a bit of a shift, haven't been training there, but still, it's no real excuse.
Yeah, I mean, but it does throw a spanner in the works. But yeah, obviously, the team with against Cowboys, they should have.
Sunday Arvo at home, they should have put out better performance than what they put up.
But what about Blake Green? He did his ACL. He's got no contract at age 33. Is this the end for him?
I hope not. It'd be a sad way for him to go out. I think he'd have to be England bound, wouldn't he?
England bound. Well, I guess it would depend on his recovery. Will he really feel motivated to get through this ACL and come back just for one more year in England? I beg to...
have a little swan song.
Yeah, I think he might, depend on his rehab, see how he goes and how he feels, and then he might get his agent out and see if he can get maybe a 1-year deal for $150,000.
His agent out?
Did I say agent?
No, agent.
Oh, okay.
Well, I hope for his sake, and if that's what he wants to do, he can find a contract to finish off, because it's a sad way for any player to finish on an injury. My low light, I touched on it earlier, was the Manly. So I keep saying the Manly. They're not the Manly. They're the Manly Sea Eagles. It's like people saying the Storms. But Souths are my highlight.
Only sick people say Storms. People don't watch rugby league.
Yeah. So Souths are my highlight, and now Manly are the low light. For last month, they've just really derailed. And I feel a bit sorry for them. I've grown up with Manly's aura of success in premierships, winning premierships, and for the last few years, they've been pretty mediocre, and injuries are a lot to blame for that. And I feel a bit sorry for them, because they were going all guns blazing at the start of the year with Tommy Turbo, and I just love the way his brother plays, Jake. You can see how passionate he gets with the team, even Cherry Evans. So it's when teams are decimated by injury, it's a bad way for them to bow out of finals, but it's just become all too much for Manly. They
just never really recovered from that Trbojevic injury.
A lot of teams have had a lot worse, but he's just so influential outside. It just proves. Well,
he's their main attacking weapon. I mean, even losing Dylan Walker and to Power's been on and off throughout the whole year. Yeah, but you'd think Des Hasler would... I think the problem with Manly is that they've got no depth. So they've got a couple of injuries in key positions, and they've just got no one. They've got Elliott replacing Trbojevic at fullback. So
Elliott did his ACL last week, so now they had Funa.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Elliott was their first pick, so they had no suitable replacement, and it really hurt them, especially at 5'8". So they had Kane Ellis, and they had who's the other guy? Cuss, that's right. Sorry, not Kane Ellis. Kate Cuss, and they had the other guy.
Liam Foran.
No, not Liam Foran. It was he was a blonde guy. Croker, that's it. Yeah, Croker. So yeah, they were going back and forth there, and Cherry Evans just didn't seem to hit his stride until. Well, he hasn't really hit his stride at all this year. He's had quite a shocking year for his standards.
Well, I can never rule out Manly. I can never put a line through them, because
But you keep on saying this, and they never perform.
Even against Melbourne this week, I was putting my multi together today, and I couldn't include Melbourne. I can't write off the Eagles from causing upset. I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, well, the fact they've got the backing of Des Hasler, he's one of the best coaches in the game, so you have every right to be justified in thinking Manly are a threat.
There's been crazy things that have happened in rugby league, especially with Manly. So we'll see what happens this week. I mean, if they don't beat Storm, then they're gone, aren't they?
No, I think they've actually got a chance.
Well, they've got to win the two wins outside the 8. They've got 5 rounds
plus
left.
4 and against, though.
They've got 4 of those games against sides out of the top 8. So you're right, they do have an easy draw, but a lot has to go their way. They've still got to rely on the Cronulla and South.
I mean, if they beat Melbourne this week, then obviously they're in a great position. It's basically theirs to lose, especially with Cronulla. Who have they got? They've got Newcastle, which is probably a losable game. Warriors are in great form. They got Roosters and Canberra to finish off, so they can easily lose 3 or 4 of those without any issue. But yeah, it should be interesting just in that final spot because Dragons even are pushing for a final 8 spot. So they've got Cowboys and Titans, then they've got Newcastle,
Canberra,
Raiders, and Melbourne to finish off. But that's obviously a more difficult run, and but their for and against is a little bit better than Manly. So so it should be interesting. So maybe there is a slight hope for the final 8 to push up.
Yeah, don't be so negative.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a Tuesday's obviously the busiest day in news in rugby leagues because everyone knows this podcast airs Tuesday night, so they got to get all the news in before we go to air so we can talk about it.
Yeah, it's difficult to prep for this podcast because an hour before the recording, there's just going to be a big news story.
Someone in the Brisbane's going to get sacked.
and you definitely know as soon as we finish uploading this, there's going to be another big news story on NRL 360 with poor Kent and Buzz Drunk Rothfield.
the senile. God, you see him last night. He was in great form. James Hooper was having an absolute go at him for not keeping up, not understanding what they were talking about. Yeah, it was
good.
It was good TV.
Well, how old is Rothfield? He's like in his 70s now.
He's 102.
But anyway, we digress. We'll go into the story. So Anthony Seibold yesterday got offered $1 million to basically resign from the Brisbane Broncos and just get an early payout to end his 5-year contract early. So from our research, what has happened is Seibold had a 4-year contract with a 5th year in the club's favour. And evidently, he's been chosen he's basically taken the deal to
part ways.
To part ways with the club.
Basically 2 seasons, so halfway through his 4-year.
Yeah. So contract. Do you think he's made the right decision? He's obviously kind of leaving a lot of money on the table. I think.
Yeah,
You said before the podcast he had about $3.2 million over 4 years.
Well, I'm not sure that no one really releases what he was actually entitled to, what the contract finer details was. But I heard whispers or heard from somewhere that he could have been offered, or at the end of the contract would have received up to $3.2 million. I think. I don't know how true that is, but if that is a lot of money to walk away from. But Seibold obviously had to weigh up how much the money meant, or if it's going to tarnish his reputation even further by staying with the Brisbane outfit. There's a lot to weigh up. Obviously, you've got family reasons as well. And I
think that could probably play a lot in his decision.
And also, I can't really see him getting a coaching job in the next at least a year or 2 years based on what's happened.
To be honest, I could see him get an opportunity. You look at how he acted at South Sydney, and he actually made the top 4 that year that he in his first year of coaching them, and he obviously was under the wing of Wayne Bennett at Brisbane. He was on, so he has quite
he did his apprenticeship under Craig Bellamy.
I was under Bellamy. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, so he was under Bellamy. So obviously he's got a good experience backlog. So I could easily see him being an assistant with another club, at least in the short term. But I could easily see him taking over a club, especially a Queensland club such as Cowboys at some point. I think he's definitely got talent as a coach. For whatever reason, he just didn't have the backing of the Brisbane.
It was an awful partnership, awful signing. Probably the worst signing we've seen in a long time in our great game, isn't it?
Well, I think they were post Wayne Bennett, so they left for bad terms with Wayne Bennett, and they had a point to prove, to say that Brisbane were trying to prove Wayne Bennett wrong and say, look, we don't need you, we've got someone else lined up. And it kind of left really big shoes to fill for Seibold. So, I mean, he obviously made the trade deal with South Sydney, so
Wayne's laughing right now, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he went into a successful South Sydney team at the time. And
big stuff for you to the Broncos.
Well, and Brisbane had the likes of Milford and Darius Boyd.
Darius Boyd.
Well,
you're not putting together a very good case.
No, what I'm saying is that they were tied to big money deals, so he was kind of going into a deep hole when he signed into that contract, and he kind of had to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So, so I can see him signing with another team at some point, at least in the next 2 years. Because rugby league's a very fast-paced game, so it's only a matter of time before people
will forget. And I think he just needs to have a bit of time off, get back to family, and then realise he wants to come back to coaching. And good luck to him if he does, because you're right. I think he does have a lot to offer. Just a matter of where and when.
So who do you think Brisbane have got in mind to replace?
The favourite thing about NRL is whenever there's any sacking, no one's asking about Seibold or the current coach. They're saying, now who's next? They're just sickos licking the lips saying, who can we get in there next? Who's going to get fired next?
Why don't they get the Walker brothers?
Oh, God, the Walker brothers.
Well, I think there's two obvious picks at the moment. You've got Kevin Walters and Paul Green.
Yeah.
I think Paul Green is probably the best suited. Kevin Walters got a steady job for Queensland.
Yeah.
So I don't see him moving from that position. But, I mean, he probably would throw his hat in the ring because there's obviously more money in a full-time coaching role. But, yeah, Paul Green is what I'm looking at.
He's doing so well on Fox Sports.
But so is... who was the other guy on Fox Sports? It was a commentator. Griffin was on Fox Sports for a bit, and that didn't work out.
Griffin, he wouldn't go back to Brisbane, would he?
I don't think that probably...
That ship sailed.
Yeah, well, there's rumours of him going to St George at the moment, so I don't know how true that is. I guess we'll see. But do you think they've got someone like Bellamy lined up and possibly using that to recruit Cameron Smith? So there was rumours of Cameron Smith being linked to...
it is all coming together at the right time, isn't it?
Yeah, well...
Both of them off contract, Brisbane needing a coach, needing a leader.
Yeah, well, imagine if Cameron Smith did sign with Brisbane Broncos and he's managed to turn the team around and he gets all the credit for that. Yeah. It would be interesting because I did watch
what a shit world that would be to live
in. Yeah, well, I don't mind Cameron Smith. I actually watched his podcast with Matty Johns.
You watched his podcast?
Yeah, so that's actually a physical video podcast.
Sorry, I thought I had you there again.
No. Well, okay, so he was... on that show, and he couldn't say enough good things about Craig Bellamy and the leadership and the amount of effort.
Of course he is.
Well, the amount of effort he puts in, but the regard that Cameron Smith put into Bellamy and saying that he was never going to leave Melbourne Storm, and I don't see why at this point in his career he's going to leave. I know there's rumours of Brandon Smith wanting to move on the condition that Cameron Smith stays, but surely Brandon Smith can stay on for one more year while Cameron Smith is just around. So I know. What do you think? So what do you think Brandon Smith should do here, or Cameron Smith?
Well, so let's just get it straight. Brandon Smith and Harry Grant both have a clause. Am I right? Saying if Cameron Smith retires, they're entitled to look elsewhere.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. But why should that be a thing? Is that because of a money issue, or is that because of an opportunity?
About opportunity.
But, okay, surely Brandon Smith can play second row for one more year while Cameron Smith is there. Like, I just don't see a downside to Cameron Smith being there for
Melbourne.
I understand for Harry Grant's perspective because he probably won't get an opportunity. It's
about looking for the future and getting these players developed into what I guess they already are, but it just gives them another year playing the preferred position that they like to play. So when you got an old timer hanging around there, playing a spot that you're going to be playing there in the future, it would get a bit frustrating for those players.
Okay, but I'll set you the scene in 2003.
I love it when you set the scene. Let me just go get my popcorn. Hang on.
Okay, well, Richard Swain was at the club, and he was obviously a Kiwi international, and Cameron Smith was behind Richard Swain. And at the time, Canberra Raiders actually offered Cameron Smith an opportunity to go there as a full-time hooker. So if Richard Swain decided to be a prick and stick around, Canberra would have had a long-term hooker in Cameron Smith and probably one of the world's most greatest player in the modern era. So maybe Melbourne are in a similar situation at the moment where Cameron Smith is hanging around too long and Brandon Smith is the next up-and-comer, and another team won't be afraid to offer a big money contract to Brandon Smith and potentially lose him for the rest of his career. Yeah,
it's a bit of a catch-22 for the Storm, but I think for the longevity of their success as a club, I think Cameron Smith has to either play reduced minutes and just slowly give the reins to those Harry Grant and Brendan Smith, or go elsewhere. But I'd like to see him just retire.
Well,
or go to the Titans.
No, I think Brisbane's actually a good fit for him because they don't really have a hooker at the moment. They got Isaac Luke. They lost McCulloch. And as a child, as a kid, Cameron Smith idolised Brisbane Broncos and was very adamant about playing for them. But obviously, unfortunately they didn't give him the opportunity when he was a young prodigy. And they saw, they saw opportunities in different players that were up and coming. So Melbourne obviously signed Cameron Smith, and he went there for the rest of his career. So I think it'd be fitting for him to go to Brisbane for at least a final year, just as to say that he's played for them at one point, just so that he gets that personal satisfaction. And the thing that people remember so much about Cameron Smith is the wrestling, and that's probably will be his ultimate legacy. So we'll segue into the crushing tackles. So there's been a recent reform into the crusher tackles.
A crackdown.
Yeah, well, so basically anything that is pressure on the neck will now be 200 points for a grade 1 and 350 points for a grade 2 and 500 points for a grade 3.
So in layman's terms, 200 points is...
Sorry. 100 points is one game.
Is one game.
That's
clear.
So
one for one.
So a minimum for any crush, what's ruled as a crusher tackle, is 200 points. So that's 2 games. And this is really going to throw a wrench into the final series. So what happens if Tedesco gets put on a crusher tackle for a try-saving tackle in, just say, in the prelim? And
well, he won't get suspended. The annoying thing about this is
that's true.
Now that coaches, they'll coach their players to lay down for a crusher tackle, and we've already been given a little taste, if you will, taste test, I should say, with the Eels and Storm game with the blow up there. But it's just, I think it's a bit too much. There's a bit too much of a crackdown. I think players are milking it. They're putting themselves in a dangerous position. I'm not saying all the time. There's still got to be an onus on the defender to roll out of the tackle, and if you see he's in a wrong position, get away from it. But they're just backing into tackles. They're falling down. What options does the defender have? A lot of the time, it doesn't have much.
Yeah, I just hope players respect it and try not to get a penalty out of it.
I just don't want it to happen like the slowing down of the ruck. I don't want that to happen again, where the players are coached how to wrestle and we have to eradicate that with a set restart. I just hope it doesn't become a crusher tackle or something.
Well, the Cooper Johns one on Seibold didn't actually get cited, so I think they're ruling there that Seibold was milking it.
Yeah. And
obviously there was a blow-up with Bellamy versus Brad Arthur. But, yeah, the one with Paul Vaughan on Richie Kenner, I think that's ridiculous. Like, there was nothing Paul Vaughan could have done to stop himself for that, and now he's got a 2-week suspension.
They're saying that they have to, when they're when they're coming down on their back, the defender has to not come down, he has to just lying down, basically.
But there should be an element of intention there. So, like, that should be one of the grounds. So,
but also, in the heat of the battle, like Graham Annesley, he hasn't played rugby league before, has he? He doesn't know that when you're making tackles and in the thick of it, that you're not going to watch out, oh, crap, his neck, I better roll, or better put him down softly. Players don't do that. They don't think at the best of times, let alone when they're making a tackle.
Yeah, I think they do need to get this tackle out of the game, though. I mean, you look at Ethan Lowe, and he's out for the season now and might not ever play again because of a crusher tackle. So, what Bennett was saying is that don't do the tackle when you don't have a problem. Well, listen here, you old fuck. Vaughan was in no position to make that tackle. And how about I raise you one? Don't breach the COVID rules and that you put in place for yourself. So
get over the bubble. How good was Wayne on the weekend, smiling and romanticising about how good rugby league is? He was getting a bit emotional at that press conference.
Yeah, well, it's a good return for him to make that statement against Manly for him. But yeah, what do you make out of that dilemma with? We touched on it before with Brad Arthur and Bellamy.
Oh, I love it personally. I love a little coach battle, but behind the game in the press conference, little jab here, jab there. I think it's.
No, it's good. It was good for Bellamy to stick up for himself, especially against Brad Arthur. Brad Arthur's just laid back saying, "Oh no, I didn't milk it. He didn't milk it." It's very.
But the thing that doesn't paint. So what they were arguing about was that Bellamy was suggesting that Arthur was coaching his players to milk and sit down for penalties for the crusher tackle. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I think he's got a case because Marcus Seibold, as Gordy alluded to, he runs like the Hulk, but when he gets tackled, he lays down like was he soft as Mickey Mouse or something like that?
He's a pussy. I remember Ben Hunt smashed him in the Auckland Knights. He went down like a sack of potatoes.
He's the new Steve Maddow, Josh Dugan.
He's
the
not
first
quite
three
that
touches he had in that Thursday night game, he laid down.
Yeah, I know.
And then he was fine.
He's a pussy. He's he can dish it out, but he can't cop it. Is basically what's happening. And going on to those suspensions, Foran went into a similar issue to what happened with Vaughan, and he got nothing. So what is happening with these rules? I don't understand.
The difference is they must be saying that the 4-1 was his fault. Was Pompey's fault. So
he turned his back on the
attacker. Yeah, he put himself in the position. There was nothing Foran could do.
You can't tell me that.
Whereas the Vaughan one, there must have been something that he could.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I guess it's just one of those things where
there has to be some onus on the ball carrier still to not put themselves
in that position,
and so the defender has nothing they can do. But if there's something they can do, then that's when they get charged.
So also, who else got suspended?
Nia Corey, the Eels second.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. So he's facing a 2-match ban for his crusher on Jared Croker as well. So yeah,
you wouldn't bother fighting it, would you? With the recent crackdown, I don't give them much hope.
I think Vaughan should have probably fought it. To be honest, I think he had a genuine case.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just very inconsistent at the moment.
I just don't think it's a good time to fight it with the way they're cracking down. I can't see any players getting reduced suspension.
Look, mark my words, it's going to cost someone a grand final spot, and it's going to ruin the grand final, in my opinion.
We're not up to bold predictions yet, but is that your bold prediction?
Well, I think that'll be my bold prediction.
The early crow.
Series, yeah. I'm not going to touch on that just yet.
Well, your bold prediction has been crap this year, so hopefully that one's on the money.
I got one of them right. Oh, no, I didn't. They've been somewhat close, I think.
Might have been on the money.
I got the Cronulla one.
Anyway, we'll come to that. I'll boast about that later.
So yeah, talking about last week and bold predictions, we didn't actually touch on this last week, but there's actually a betting scandal going on where, well, not so much a scandal, but people on Instagram are abusing players because of same game multis, where they've got someone as their anytime try scorer and they're obviously not scoring. And then these people are going to social media to absolutely abuse the shit out of players.
And rightly so, don't you think? If you can't get me a try and win me $500,000, then damn right I'm going to abuse you.
But I don't understand why this is an issue all of a sudden. Like people... I mean, I know there's money involved, but people are really strong supporters of teams, and if a player costs them the opportunity to win the game, obviously people are going to abuse them, and these players need to stay off social media and even go on private. I don't think they should be on a public platform, with people that have given the opportunity of them to message. So I think Widdop actually had a good system where he didn't allow comments on his Instagram post unless he was actually following you.
But don't you think it shouldn't be up to the players to make that? They shouldn't have to go out of their way to protect themselves. I know,
but they're in a public space.
You can't rely on a lot of NRL fans to not abuse you. If anyone's going to abuse you, it's going to be NRL fans.
Yeah, well, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed.
Speak for yourself. No, well, I think it started with the AFL. There was a tweet saying they can't take it anymore. The abuse, the death threats, the hope you get injured, hope you do your ACL for not kicking a goal or in rugby league circumstance scoring a try. And yeah, it's definitely not warranted. This takes a massive mental health toll on players. And the last thing they do is on the field is to try and win people a bet. They're not in the minds in the slightest.
But should they be able to opt out from being in the same game anytime market?
Well, that's a discussion. I don't think so. I think there's too much money and deals in the behind the scenes with betting companies and in the NRL to make that decision.
Yeah, but at what point does the betting companies overtake the NRL? It's become too much about gambling at the moment, and I know it's a big revenue raiser, but I don't really like the way that the game is headed in the last 10 years or so, where there's just been such a focus in betting, and every time you watch a game at halftime, there's always gambling odds, and it's too much, and especially those younger kids who are watching, and they kind of get hooked on early.
Yeah, Joel Kane, he really sucks you in, doesn't he?
Oh,
he just knows what to say.
No, the one that really sucks me in is the charity Laurie Daly. I can't wait for his segment every Thursday to get his best bets.
Loz's Log. I don't think that's one a year, but I still bet on it every week.
It's you get what? You get $11 odds for $3 basically legs. It's amazing. You know, they call St Vincent de Paul's a charity. But yeah, I mean, speaking of try scorers, what about the Morris brothers wanting to go for another year? And they say they can keep on going. They're just going to keep on scoring.
If you want to win some money, I tell you what, put the Morris brothers in your multi, score some tries every week.
Yeah, well,
they're almost as safe as the bloody bank.
So, do you think they should be going on another year? I think
definitely.
Brett Morris.
Oh, why wouldn't you? The way they're playing, they can go another 5 years.
Yeah, I think they're starting their injuries are starting to catch up, and they probably aren't going to play the full year. They probably will sit out probably for at least a quarter of the year minimum.
Next year?
No, I'm just saying, no, they'll play the full year, but I'm just saying because of injuries, they'll probably be out for at least 25%.
Well, they're on the wing. They don't do a whole lot on the wing, don't they? Just catch the ball and put it over the try line.
Yeah, well, Brett Morris does a lot more than that, I would say. He makes a lot of inroads in the middle, getting his team out of trouble. He's always been a fantastic clubman for whatever club he plays for, whether it's the Dragons, Bulldogs, or Roosters. And he rightfully deserves another contract, and it would be interesting to see how he goes.
Well, we're lucky enough to have grown up. Like when we first started watching rugby league, pretty seriously, that was when Morris debuted. Both of Morris debuted. I remember him coming onto the scene as a youngster with the red and white, playing on the wing, very quick. He's lost some of his pace, but he was quick back in the day. And I feel blessed to have watched his career progress to where it is now. And I think it's fitting for both of them to finish on the same team and also in a team which has high success rate, and it showcases their talent because they get way more opportunity than what they would have at the Dragons or the Bulldogs. Yeah,
well, I agree with you there. I remember when they were very young in the Jersey flag at the time, and they absolutely had shit in their hands. Even their first couple of years in rugby league, they just could not catch a ball for the life of them. And there was actually one try in 2006 against Brisbane where I think it was Matthew Head put up a bomb, and I thought for certain that there was no way he was going to catch it, and he caught it and put it over the line, and then Aaron Gorrell ended up kicking the match-winning try from the corner. So that was one of my fondest memories from him at a very young age, and he's always been a fantastic player, both of them, in fact. And I wish both of them the best for next year, and hopefully they have a fantastic year and end on a high.
Not a premiership, though.
Oh, well, they'll probably win a premiership this year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, we've got another topic here as well. So there was a discussion, post-match interview at the end of the St George-Brisbane game where Ben Hunt was asked what his preferred position is, and he basically blatantly said, halfback is my preferred position, but I'll do what's best for the team, and currently, at the moment, that's hooker. So do you think he's a hooker or not? Do you think he's a halfback?
I think right now he's a hooker. Until he can get his game management and half traits up to first grade, up to what he's worth, then I think he should be playing hooker. And it's working for them now, so I don't see any reason to change. And
it's just so funny because
it seems like a better fit, better balance for the side.
Yeah, well, you had McGuinness at hooker, who was, in contention for Origin at the last year, and now you're moving him to lock and playing Ben Hunt and him out of position. So it's interesting. I know McGuinness is playing.
But I don't think you really lose much with McInnes at lock.
Well, yeah, I mean the thing is, putting Ben Hunt in the halves with Clune is probably a bad combination. So you would have to put him with Norman, and for whatever reason, that combination is just not clicking. I think their play styles are too similar, and I think the best combination with Hunt was Widdop, and they had a really good combo going. Obviously before Widdop left, and then there was a monkey thrown in the wrench when they signed Norman early, and Widdop had to go back to fullback, and then Norman had to go back to fullback, and there was just all sorts at the moment with the spine, and I think that was probably one of the reasons why St George had such a bad year last year. But yeah, at the moment, I think he's definitely a hooker, and he just seems like he's doing no wrong at hooker.
Well,
And he draws in the defensive line.
he could play. He could be the number 9 for the Maroons at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably where Queensland probably should head,
That's how bad Queensland's hooker stakes are.
Well, who are the other options?
Actually, we should mention before this podcast, Rago Googled. He wanted to know who the Queensland hookers could be, and he actually Googled Queensland hookers. And to your surprise, it didn't come up with Ben Hunt, Reid Marnie, Harry Grant. What did it come up with?
Came up with some adult content.
Some actual Queensland hookers. I think some of them would be a better fit for Ben Hunt.
Yeah, well, they'd be good at raking the balls. So I think there would be some opportunities there.
They'd be good at stripping too.
They probably, yeah. I mean, Queensland don't really have much variety in that regard there. So who have they got? They've got.
Well, I would say Reid Marnie would be the front runner, I think, but it's just pretty hard to throw in a guy that's played 30-odd first-grade games into the Origin arena, and it just shows how bad they're going when they've Hunt, Friend, Marnie, and Harry Grant are their leading contenders, and that they would be the third choice for New South Wales.
Well, no, what I would do personally is put Hunt at starting hooker and then put Marnie on the bench, so that just offers a bit of diversity if the Hunt combination's not working or you get an injury in the back line. But
and he's going to be the future, Marnie. In about 3 years, he'll be the starting hooker there, you'd imagine. So it'd be a good way for them to blood him in.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think with Harry Grant coming up, he possibly is the future. But
Harry or Marnie.
I don't think Grant will get the opportunity this year, at least. But New South Wales also have a similar dilemma at the moment. They've got Cook, McGuinness, or Coruscant as the options for hooker. And obviously Cook is not in the best career form at the moment.
No.
McGuinness is not even playing at hooker. And Coruscant...
McInnes, I don't think McInnes is in the same breath as Cook and Coruscant. It's Cook or Coruscant, to be frank. And Coruscant, yeah, he's having a much better year than Cook. But is he that far ahead that Cook loses his spot? I don't think
no,
it is.
I think
they'll stay with loyalty for this year. I mean, Freddie, they won last year, and Freddie has shown he's about loyalty. So I think Cook will be there, but that'd not take anything away from the way Coruscant's playing.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Cook, and I think that's the obvious option. And I think he will probably most likely be the Australian hooker as well, unless they go with Ben Hunt there.
No.
But yeah, I think Cook, he's established, and you know what you're going to
get. He was back to his best against Manly, and it just shows how influential he is to South Sydney. When he runs the ball and pins his ears back and doesn't get out and just stand there and dawdle, when he makes a decision, he puts the defence on such a big back foot, and it's so good for the South forward pack rolling forward. So it was good to see him back to his best. We'll give him a spray on this, so he's obviously listening.
But Cook's best game is when he has a strong forward pack, and the South Sydney forward pack was just absolutely dominating Manly.
Yeah,
and that's when he had the free roam. And in New South Wales versus Queensland, I think New South Wales have this far superior forward pack than Queensland, and I think he would really thrive in that environment. So yeah, I definitely would go with him.
All right, well, now that we've covered all the latest and topical news in the week of rugby league, it's now time for our favourite segment, or your favourite segment, Pass or Play.
That's a sloppy pass, that one.
Thank you, Vossi. So the top 8 has been a lot of, we debated earlier in the pod, whether it's solidified, whether teams can have a chance of sneaking in there. So my question to you is, the top 8 is set.
I'm gonna run on the fact that it's established. So
hang on, it's called pass or play. So what are you running for?
I'm running for the fact.
So you're playing. Stick to the.
Okay, I'm gonna. It's the same thing. You pass or you run.
Well, just say play then.
Okay, play it. I'm gonna play the 8 as it is, and I'm gonna say.
So you're agreeing.
Well, yeah, I'm agreeing on the fact that the 8 is solidified, and I'm gonna say that the only thing that's gonna change is that Canberra will make the top 4 and Roosters will drop out. That's my prediction. But other than that, everything will stay the same.
I like it. Every position as well?
Every position. I think there might be a bit of fluctuation with Rabbitohs and Newcastle. I think Newcastle dropped down a bit lower.
Yeah.
I think Cronulla will probably end up being 8th. So what's South Sydney at the moment? 6th?
South Sydney is 7th. They're
Yeah,
1 point, so 1 point, not a win, 1 point from Newcastle, and they have very similar for and against.
So yeah, I think South will overtake Newcastle.
If South beat Parramatta on Thursday, they'll finish above Newcastle in the season.
Okay, well, nonetheless, depending on that result, I'm just saying that Newcastle will end up 7th, and Cronulla will end up 8th, and then South Sydney will end up.
Well, Newcastle will play South first week of finals, I think.
Yeah. So what are you passing on playing it?
I'm playing it. I think it'll stay the same. I agree with you. I think the top 8, no one from the bottom 8 can come into the top 8. Although mathematically they can, I just don't see it happening. And I'm gonna disagree with you and say the Roosters will keep their 4th spot. They play each other in 2 weeks in Canberra, I think it is. So a big advantage to Canberra, but I think Roosters, they hit their straps on the weekend, and I think they'll be too good for Raiders with their players coming back.
So you're passing on my prediction, basically what you're saying. So you're running it on the fact that...
Hang on, no one's running, playing it. I'm playing on the original parcel play.
Yeah, but what the thing is you're from dummy half, and you either pass it or you run it.
Yeah, but the segment is called parcel play.
But, okay... Yeah, I understand.
Do you want to call it parcel run then?
Yeah, I think parcel run is a better idea. If you think about it, play it is like playing the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you run it or you
pass
it.
This whole segment's gone to dog shit then. It's not even, the name's not even valid anymore.
It doesn't matter. We'll work it out next week. As for bold prediction, speaking of...
are you going to give me a parcel play? Are you going to come up with something, or is this just...
I thought we only do one a week.
Alright, we'll leave it at that.
Well... I'm sorry, I'll come prepared next week. We'll do 2 parcel plays next week. Parcel runs.
Give the people what they want. They're eating with some more parcel runs. It just sounds shit, parcel runs.
No, but it makes more sense.
You need the alliteration with the P's. And Bossy gets sloppy pass. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, sorry.
Alright, well, speaking of my prediction for Canberra to make the top 4, what is your bold prediction this week?
Well, although mine haven't been the boldest of bold predictions, they're paying off. I said Newcastle will have a big win and Blake Green to start in his first game, and they smashed the Knights and Blake Green laid on a couple of tries. And then I said Norman to star in a Dragons win over Brisbane, and that's pretty easy to say. Brisbane are coming second last, and Dragons will beat them. But Norman was very good. He scored the second try, and he showed a lot of maturity in that brilliant game sealing kick at the end to force a dropout.
And he also scored a try, so yeah.
I said that.
Oh, okay, right.
And so this week, my bold prediction is Newcastle to continue on their shit run of form and lose to the Warriors. I think Warriors are going to upset Knights. Warriors they just keep surprising everyone.
I don't think that's that bold. I'm going to pick a player to star in that game.
All right. Well, is Tavita Harris, he could be back, but Steve Turner not Steve Turner. Turner, he debuted for the Warriors on the weekend. He should have scored 2. I don't know if he'll keep his spot this week. Well, it's easy to say Tuivasa-Sheck, isn't it? But that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, okay. Is he going to score 2 tries? Is he going to get 2 line breaks?
You want me to do a double? You want to do a same game multi?
Yeah, so you're saying, say Tuivasa-Sheck for a double. I don't know, you can pick Tuivasa, or you're going to go Tavita?
I'll say... No, I won't go... I'll say Cody Nikorima to score 1 and lay 1 on. And
that's fair enough.
Warriors to win.
Okay. All right. That's a good prediction.
Thank you.
I'm going to say the Parramatta Eels will hit back into form and smash the South Sydney Rabbitohs 20-plus points. And I'm going to say Moses is going to have a star game. I'll say at least 1 try. I'm going to say Gutherson having 3 try assists.
Well, I'm happy you've said that, because the way your bold predictions are going means Rabbitohs will win that.
Yeah, well, no, actually, I was pretty close when I said Cronulla would beat Parramatta. That became basically Johnson only lost on goal kicking. The other one I said...
Storm to beat Parra.
Storm to beat Parramatta. So that was still pretty reasonably
And you said that not knowing all the players were out too, which I'll give you some credit.
Yeah, look, not everyone can predict everything. Yeah,
I can. No, well, gee, I hope at least one of us are right, and I hope it's not you.
All right, you biased prick. First, he brags about South Sydney, demolishing Manly, and now
Demolishing, is that like demolishing?
okay, it's the same.
Brags
thing.
about it. All I said it was the highlight of the round, and that's fair enough.
Why
It
is that
was.
the highlight?
They won by 40 points.
It's a
what the highlight was.
I remember watching that game being bored shitless because
Rabbitohs just dominated their asses.
No one wants to watch a smashing. You want to. That's a page turner. You want to watch a tight, close affair like that Brisbane St George game where it was only 2 points. I think that was the closest game of the round.
you gotta bring up St George's shit performance and make it into your highlight, are you? It's all about the fucking Dragons on this podcast.
Okay, well, what else was a close game? I think I actually had fun watching the Titans Raiders game. But other than that, Bulldogs Warriors was pretty good. Yeah. So
there wasn't much, and the Rabbitohs was clearly the highlight. And boy, did I have fun.
You could have mentioned so many other things like the Papali.
No, but you
chase.
did that. We're not going to say the same thing.
But no, that was mine. That wasn't yours. You came out with your highlight first.
It was a highlight.
Nonetheless, let's end this podcast because I've had enough.
I can't talk to you anymore.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Can't wait to be inside your ear next Tuesday.
Gee, I'm glad you said ear.